Celebrating its 100th year in 2020, Manteca High School and Manteca football are rich with tradition. In creating this channel, MHS Classics has been digging deep through boxes of old videos from decades past. For this classic matchup, we are getting out an old videotape from the 2005 season, which has Manteca hosting Modesto High School. The 2005 season ended with Manteca finishing the season 12-1, and Coach Reese earning the first of 5 section championships as the head coach of the Buffaloes. This season would also see the birth of what would become the state's longest winning streak in 2007. After losing a close game to longtime rival Sonora, Manteca would go on to avenge this loss in the section championship game and would not lose another game until October of 2007. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy this Manteca High Classic matchup, Manteca vs. Modesto, 2005.
Hi, we're in Manteca, California with the Comcast SJTV Game of the Week, Manteca vs. Modesto.
The following program is a presentation of Comcast's SJTV. San Joaquin Television. SJTV.
Week 2 of the high school football season, Manteca and Modesto, each team coming off outstanding seasons a year ago. Modesto 9-2, a co-championship in the MMC. Manteca 9-3, second in the VOL, and lost in the second round of the playoffs to the eventual champion Rio Linda. Manteca coming off a 40-0 win last week in their opener against Ceres, while Modesto was shocked 17-14 against Buhack Colony. Should be a very physical, close ball game. Eric Alves with you for the Comcast SJTV Sports Game of the Week. Corey Torres to kick off for Modesto in the white and black. Manteca virtually all green. It's a squibber. The Buffaloes get on it at about the 28 and get across the 40, so Manteca should have pretty decent field position. Dominic Bennett, the man who eventually returns it for Manteca, up at the 41, and the Buffalo offense will come onto the field. Their quarterback is a junior 5'6", 130-pounder, Ruben Sedano. Michael Alexander plays the fullback. Jared Akai is the halfback. We'll see a lot of guys there, though. Davis and Turner, the receivers. Paul, the tight end. McCready, Nepp, Rollis, Perez, and Bordy, the O-line. We'll also see Andre Patterson in the backfield, Dominic Bennett, and others for the Buffaloes. From the 41, on the ground with Jared Akaya, the junior who transferred from Sierra, and a short gain for him. It's a very good defense for Modesto that played well last week, even in the loss. Stopped that time by Dylan Miller, the team's second leading tackler a year ago. Looks like 2, maybe 3 that time for Akaya. The defense for Modesto up front, the D-line returns from a year ago. Williams, Roberts, Griffin, and Woodbridge are returnees, as is Miller, Vindiola, Estrada, Ramirez, all linebackers. The toss goes behind Akaya, still doesn't corral it, and he does all the way back at the 22-yard line, where he's hit by Mike Ramirez. A loss of about 20, maybe even 21 on that play, as Ramirez makes the stop after Akaya, luckily for Manteca, corrals the ball, but after a loss of 20 or 21. So it'll be third down for the Buffaloes inside the 25, at about the 24. To get a first down, they have to get across midfield. We'll call it 3rd and 27. The corners are Reese and Sanchez for Modesto. The safety is Lloyd Ferris. He's a very good one. He's very deep right now. Buffaloes will run with it. It's Andre Patterson. Patterson near a first down. He's about 3 yards shy across the 45 and up near the 48. So he got about 24 yards back. Patterson last week, 2 rushing touchdowns, 1 defensively. So 4th down for Manteca, 4th and 3, and the offense is still on the field. So a statement here by head coach Eric Reese early in this game. Last year these two played at Johansen High School. Modesto won with a late touchdown, 19-13. We expect the same kind of game here tonight. 4th and 3 for Manteca at their 48. They have to get across midfield. Flag is thrown. Michael Turner went in motion. Let's see as we'll get the first call from our referee, Tracy Blackmore. Gets the call from his crew. And it's encroachment on the defense, and not something you'd expect with the veteran returning defensive line. So that gives Manteca the cheap first down. The rest of the officiating crew, we'll get it to you in a second. This is the first flag of the night. The umpire is Michael Presley. The headlinesman is Robert Hurd. The back judge is Greg Pitch, and the line judge is Donnie Zaccaro. First down Manteca, and remember the 24-yard run by Patterson set it up. The fact they could even go for it on 4th and 3, and the encroachment on the defense gives Manteca the first down. The Buffaloes run with Akaya. He goes wide to the right, driven out of bounds by Laurie Ferris, but not before Jared Akaya gets inside the 35. And he's going to be spotted down at about the 33. Looks like 14 yards or so for Akaya. Last year as a sophomore played varsity at Sierra, 500 yards on the ground, 4 total touchdowns. Had a game against Sonora, 17 carries for 142 last year and 2 scores as a sophomore. 1st and 10 Manteca on the 33 of Modesto, opening possession of the game. Akaya again, this time he'll try the left side. It's strung out pretty well there defensively by Modesto. Up from the corner is Charlie Reese, the sophomore, to make the tackle. And Akaya gets to the 30. Looks like 4 for him there, and it'll be 2nd and 6 upcoming for the Buffaloes. Not yet 3 minutes into this contest. 2 of the oldest high schools around. Manteca established in 1918. Modesto 1883. It's moved a couple of times, but 2 of the oldest high schools in the area. Manteca at the 30. I formation behind Sedano. It's the deep back, Akaya. McCready among those up front blocking for him. The tackler that time is Fernando Sanchez. Akaya gets another 2, so it'll be 3rd and maybe a short 2 upcoming. Timeout taken by the Panthers, so they take the timeout here. Just 3 minutes and 15 seconds into the contest. Mentioned Tyler McCready, his brother Mitch McCready, a standout on the 01 championship team, the unbeaten championship team, now playing at Willamette, where the head coach is Mark Speckman, former headman at Merced, and of course led Merced to 2 section championships. The only 2 section championships for a team from the CCC. Of course, now the CCC is also split into the Modesto Metro Conference, of which the Modesto Panthers are a member. And nobody from the CCC or the MMC has been to the Division I section final since 1999 when Golden Valley went. Now is after a stretch of CCC teams making it 9 times in 11 years. 3rd and less than 2 for Manteca after the Modesto timeout. Of course, the pole at the 50 at Gus Schmidt Field. And it's Dominic Bennett, and he's hit behind the line by Levert Griffin among others. Of course, Griffin is already verbal to Cal Berkeley, and Bennett loses maybe 2 on that play. Brings up another 4th down situation for Manteca. They went for it near midfield and picked it up on that encroachment against the Panthers. This will be right around 4th and 4. Manteca must get across the 25 to pick up the first down. And they will go for it. Field goal from here would have been about a 40-yard attempt. On the end around, it's Akaya. And Modesto stopping the play, and did they end up with the ball as well? Either way, it goes over to the Panthers. And so they will take over with 7:57 to go here in quarter number 1. ball's at the 23. Lanto's the quarterback. Ferris had 140 yards last week. Williams a load at fullback. Torres and Pasali the receivers. Woodbridge the tight end. Mason, Duenas, Goldine, Griffin, and also Joel Mendoza along the offensive line. And it's Max Areola who carries on first down for the Panthers. Minimal gain. Half a yard at that. It's probably still 2nd and 10. Areola, 5'8", 150 senior. We'll also see Ferris quite a bit in there as well. Right now it's just Blake Fisher in the backfield. 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right for Modesto. Lanto, quick drop, looking up top, looking for Matt Martinez. It's incomplete. Coverage there for Manteca by Dustin Allen. Lanto last week in the loss to Buhack Colony, 10 of 22, 83 yards through 3 picks, including 1 late in the game. In fact, Modesto turned the ball over 4 times last week, outgaining Buhack 300 yards to 120, yet they lost because of those 4 turnovers, and they gave up a kick return for a score in the final 3 minutes. On the draw, it's Areola. Buffalo stand him up. It's Seth Davis. Davis, the strong safety. Areola across the 30. It's going to be 4th and a full yard. There's the defense for Manteca. Verduzco, Trout, Bordy, and Parra, as well as Bennett on the D-line. Johnson, a good one, a linebacker. O'Brien, Allen, Turner, Kamara, and Davis. Kamara, I should say. So it brings up a punting situation on 4th and a yard. And it's Michael Turner on the move at about the 37. He returns it up to the 45. And so each team has had a possession. Manteca now with their second after Manteca turned it over on downs, although it looks like there may have been a fumble in there as well. And then now Modesto just punting after their opening possession. Last year, Modesto going to the playoffs for the first time since '85. In fact, they've only had 4 winning seasons in the last 30 years. But expected to win the MMC, or at the very least contend. And is the second possession here for Manteca, and it gets off to an inauspicious start. Levert Griffin is there for the Panthers, as he will be much of the night. Andre Patterson losing maybe a yard on that run, as Ruben Sedano gets the call from the sideline. Sedano just a junior, but did play varsity basketball last year as a sophomore. His brother a former Buffalo as well, and Manteca will go out of the shotgun. They scored 40 points last week, but only threw 6 combined passes, 4 by Sedano, 2 by Alex Paul. Here's the first from Sedano. That is complete. It's Barber on the Modesto side of the field, up at the 40. A pickup of about 16, but there is a flag. So reception made by Michael Barber, but we await the call of Tracy Blackmore, and James Williams saying it's against Manteca. And it is, and it's a personal foul. The band here at Manteca, but didn't have much to cheer about after that. The play was good, but of course the penalty not. And there was Tracy Blackmore. There he is. So the down marker shows first down, so it would appear Manteca picks up the first down, then the personal foul after the fact, and moves them back to yardage, but it still is a first down back at the 46, their own. So 1st and 10, but they lose the yardage. Shotgun again for Sedano, and well played defensively there by Joey Estrada, the linebacker, because streaking open was Seth Davis for the Buffaloes, and it would have been a huge gainer But Estrada, who's also the backup quarterback, swats it away and saves probably 20-plus yards. As we watch one more time, and there's Estrada. You see Lloyd Ferris coming on to put on the hit as well. Under 6 minutes to play in the first quarter. On second down, the pass goes back to Michael Turner. Might have even been a lateral as he gets to midfield and just beyond. A gain of close to 5. It's going to be third and a long 5 upcoming. Yeah, that was very close to being a lateral. Turner last week caught 2 balls, one for a 27-yard touchdown. Of course, his brother Nick Turner, an outstanding tailback at East Union. Michael Turner in his 3rd year as a varsity player here at Manteca and is verbal to the University of Arizona. From about midfield, the end around to Turner. And he stretches forward. He's going to be short of the first down. Mark Roberts in the mix as well, the MMC Defensive Lineman of the Year last year. And Turner is going to get about 3.5, maybe 3, so it's 4th and a solid 2. Of course, Manteca going to do everything in their power to get the ball to Turner any way as possible. On late is the punter, which is usually not good when you're trying to punt. Justin Cox is now back deep on 4th and about 2 for the Buffaloes from the 47 of Modesto. Cox able to get a good one away, though. And it's going to be Lloyd Ferris around the 15. And he is caught by Paul Camara. Just a few seconds above 4 minutes on the clock here in the Comcast SJTV Sports Game of the Week. A game that you can check out on demand early next week. Monday afternoon should be on there. And we're going to put all our high school football games in there. At Lincoln and Fairfield from last week, a 21-13 win for the Trojans is already in there on demand. It's Areola on the ground. And Areola gets close to 5, I would say. He's carried 3 times now for 13. Second down here for Modesto. Stop there for the Buffaloes by Vincent Bordy. As Areola, the runner, there is a flag. Maybe a face mask. No, actually a hold. So a hold against Modesto. After the stop by Vincent Bordy. It's a Manteca defense with 10 seniors. In fact, both teams relatively experienced. And so Modesto will be marched back all the way to their 13, where it'll be second down and 17. Second and 17. Upcoming for the Panthers. No score yet from Gus Schmidt Field. Little misdirection. And not much doing there on the ground for the Panthers. It was Areola again, and it looks like no gain, possibly a yard. So third and I guess 16, could be 17 though. Get to see Lloyd Ferris run with the ball. Last week he ran for 140, scored 2 touchdowns. In fact, scored both the touchdowns for the Panthers in their loss to Buhack Colony. Modesto, the number 5 team in the Modesto B poll. Manteca, number 1 in the Modesto B poll. They're ranked 5th in the state of California, according to Cal High Sports. On third long, there's the slant. Up to the 25 as it's completed. And that's Reese, the sophomore. Gets about 11, but needed 15 or 16. So Charlie Reese on the slant. First completion there. For the Panthers, but it brings up their second punt. And it's Blake Fisher, and it's partially blocked by Manteca. Jared Akaya got a piece of it, and here's Paul Camara, and he takes it in for the touchdown. Akaya got a piece of it. Camara scoops in, and he scores. Manteca on the board with the blocked punt for a touchdown. That more and more from high school teams putting some of their outstanding defensive and offensive players on special teams, and it pays off there with both Akaya and Camara coming through. Unofficially 25 yards. Sedano on to hold. Luis the long snapper. And it is no good from Evan Herrera. So it is 6-0 Manteca, 1:52 to play in the first. And in a game like this with two evenly matched teams, sometimes special teams is the decider. And of course, Modesto struggled in that regard last week, giving up the kick return for a score. Here, Manteca gets the partially blocked kick. You see Akaya coming through, got the left hand, it looked like, on it. And then Camara, who plays safety on defense, makes like a safety right there, grabs it out of the air, and he takes it the distance. A convoy of Buffaloes around there. And there's Akaya, the man who got the block. Already done some work on offense for the Buffaloes, carrying the ball, but got it done there on special teams. .152 showing on the clock. Now Modesto, of course, in the regular season last year, 9-1, the first time they've gone 9-1 in 37 years. But they've now lost their last two games. They lost their playoff game to St. Mary's last year, 49-20 in the first round, when they had a huge crowd go on the road. Certainly not the case here tonight. I guess Schmidtfield, a decent road crowd, but nothing like what we saw last year in the playoffs. And then, of course, lost last week to Buhack Colony. Buffaloes kick it away. Back inside the 5. It's returned by Modesto by Sanchez. He's tripped up just across the 15, maybe to the 17. Looks like Para among those there for Manteca. And so Modesto again with poorest field position. Not to the 20. I think officially we'll give them the 18, and they trail now 6-0. As I said last year, a 19-13 win for Modesto on a James Williams touchdown late in the game. Manteca scored to tie the game with under 5 minutes to go, but then they did not get the point after and was tied, and the Modesto drove the length of the field. Panthers run on first down. And James Williams, the fullback, at the bottom of the pile. Williams got about 4 on his first carry. Also an outstanding defensive lineman. 2nd and 6 as the Panthers come to the line. They start off as the number 1 team in the Modesto B poll, but of course dropped after losing. Turlock is number 2 behind Manteca. That's Ferris. First time we see Lloyd Ferris carry the ball. He's a junior but played varsity ball last year as a sophomore. Maybe 2 there. We'll call it 3rd and 4.
Lloyd Ferris carrying the ball.
Last year, of course, Marcus McGill, the tailback from Modesto, 1,000 yards and 7 scores. Williams is the returning fullback. He had better than 300 on the ground. Full house backfield here on 3rd and a short 4, and that's Williams, the fullback, and he does indeed have a Modesto first down. Needed less than 4. Got about 6, it looked like. Maybe even a little bit more than that. Williams at 5'10", 230. Good size, certainly. We mentioned last year scoring the winning touchdown against Manteca with under 3 minutes to play, 14-yarder. 6-0 Buffaloes. Final 18 seconds and ticking here of the first quarter. 1st and 10 Modesto. We have movement at the end of the line. May have been Mark Roberts from Modesto. We'll wait and see, though. And indeed it is against Modesto. They have 3 penalties here in the early going. False start on the Panthers. I mentioned just 4 winning seasons in the last 30 years. Remarkable. 76, 85, 97, and of course last year 2004, the winning seasons in the last 30 for the Panthers. We'll see if they get this play off here at the end of the quarter. Williams again, big hole, and then the pole stops him. And of course, Williams kind of creates his own holes in a lot of ways with that good size, up to the 38. And that is the end of the quarter. Zeros on the clock. It'll be second about 3, maybe close to 4, upcoming for the Panthers. But the only scoring in quarter 1 from Gus Schmidt Stadium, the block punt by Jared Akai, and then the return by Paul Camara for the Manteca touchdown. And Manteca missed the point after, but they do lead 6-0 after shellacking Ceres last week, 40-0. And of course, Ceres and Modesto, co-champions last year in the Modesto Metro Conference. Davis, Johansson, Byer, and Downey, the other members of the MMC. And of course, a lot of people have already circled Manteca's game with Oakdale as the big one in the Valley Oak League. That'll be on the 21st of October. Homecoming here at Manteca. Oakdale has won 23 straight Valley Oak League games. The last team to beat them was Manteca back in the section championship season. That also on homecoming, so that bodes well for the symmetry for the Buffaloes. Manteca winning on homecoming back in 01. That's the last time Oakdale lost a VOL game. There's Manteca defensive coordinator Rick James. Of course, head coach Eric Reese, an alum of Manteca High in his 4th year at the helm. 21-11-2. Last year, Manteca going to the second round of the playoffs, and Coach Reese's first year going to the section final before losing to Colfax. 2nd and about 3 for Modesto, and Williams bumped into the quarterback, Lanto, and he does a heck of a job to keep moving the pile forward and has the first down after he took a shot from his fullback. There's Lanto at the bottom of the pile. He took over late in the season last year for Joey Estrada. And there's Earl Pimentel, former Spanish teacher here at Manteca High School, and Walker Vick, longtime athletic director and football coach as well. The new field house here at Manteca High bears his name, deservedly so. And of course now helps out the CIF during playoff season, so we see him at a lot of the different venues, including the section championship, which in D1 is in the second week of December. So Lanto got the first down and moves the chains for the Panthers. It's Estrada, the backup quarterback, taking the handoff. No gain there as Manteca stuffs that play. Bordy. Also look like Andre Patterson in there. Patterson playing some linebacker as well as running back. So no gain. Maybe a half a yard, but still 2nd and 10 certainly. 1 minute into the second quarter. We're in Manteca. Last week we were in Stockton. Next week we'll be in Linden. Little play action from Lanto. That's complete to Estrada, and then he's drilled by Michael Turner. The ball came loose. Turner scooped it up. We'll see there are whistles. And maybe they're saying it's an incomplete pass. That appears to be what the officials are saying. What a shot there from Michael Turner, delivering it to Estrada. Actually, it looks like they're giving the completion and maybe saying Estrada was down. And they are, so here it is again. Reception of about 7. Estrada certainly brought it in. And let's see where the knee goes down and the ball comes out. There's the hit from Turner. Yep, he's down and the ball is out. It was close, but good call by the officials. 3rd down here, Williams. Williams still moving across the 40 to about the 36. Williams 12, maybe 13, so James Williams becoming a factor in this contest. And all the short yardage situations, he's able to pick them up. His 4th carry now for 29. Manteca on top 6-0, but Modesto moving the ball. 1st and 10 Panthers. At about the 37 of Manteca. Lanto flushed, moving, drops it off. Pass is complete to Fisher. And Fisher will be close to another Panther 1st down. Blake Fisher, the backup fullback. Nice job by Lanto on the move. And it is enough for a Modesto 1st down. Coming right at you in front of Sean Schrock. There's Fisher, takes it in nicely. And then brought down at the 26. Modesto on the move, trailing 6-0. It's Ferris trying to get outside, but then he's met by a host of Buffalo defenders. O'Brien, Johnson, the linebackers are there. Also Davis and Mills. Not much doing for Lloyd Ferris on that play. Minimal gain, still probably 2nd and 10. Thomas Lanto, the quarterback I mentioned, he started the last 5 games last year, and Modesto averaged about 19 points per game when he started. For the year, right around 17. They won 6 games a year ago, did the Panthers, when they scored 16 points or less. Their high last year was 29 against Bayer. 9 minutes, 12 seconds showing on the clock. Now the team's back away from the line. I'm not sure what happened, if there was maybe an injury replacement or what the case may be. This is the first of 3 straight road games for Modesto. They're at Merced next week, then at Los Banos. Manteca is at Edison next week, and it's Michael Turner, the man who was shaken up, and he's on the sideline and being attended to. And Manteca at Magnasco Stadium next week against Edison. Elliot Burke, the head coach for Edison, is here. In fact, his team has a bye tonight, so gets to do some scouting. And time is called by Manteca. So there is our game of the week schedule. Next week, we're in Linden for Weston Ranch and Linden. Our first appearance in Linden since 2000. Then the Battle of Tracy, Weston, Tracy. You see the rest of the schedule. Homecomings at Stagg, East Union, and Lincoln. Then St. Mary's, Tokay at Edison on a Thursday, and we conclude with whatever the best game is that last Friday of the regular season. Of course, schedule always subject to change. This is our 104th high school football game of the week since 1997. Of course, that's with throwing the Lions games in there. We're at Gus Schmidt Stadium tonight here at Manteca. I grew up about 4 blocks away and always called it Gus Schmidt, but I was told by some old-timers that it's definitely Gus Schmidt. So I defer to the experience. So 2nd and very close to 10 after the delay here. Timeout by Manteca, and you see Michael Turner still being attended to on the sideline. So he's out for this play at the least. Full backfield for Modesto behind Lanto. Play action, he still has it, but he's in a world of hurt. And down he goes, so Manteca not fooled there. Daniel Johnson, also Nick Trout in pursuit of Lanto, who made a heck of a fake. And a flag, I did not see it, but Modesto pointing as if it's against Manteca. Here's Tracy Blackmore, the face mask against the Buffaloes. Not sure where that came in, but obviously you would think it's against the quarterback Lanto, and Manteca's trying to bring him down. Let's see. Bordy was the first man to get to him. And there is the face mask. It looked like it was in there. It was Alex Paul, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. It looked like it was Paul who got the face mask. It ended up with kind of the neck part of the jersey, but I think he got the face mask first. Of course, Paul, an outstanding defensive end. Guy, though, that broke his leg 2 years ago and still isn't quite back to 100%. Well, and actually, they're saying the face mask was against Modesto, so I guess I was wrong. It was 2nd and 15, and then Lanto keeps there for no gain, maybe even a loss of a yard. And let's see. Well, maybe Paul didn't get it. Okay. So the face mask must have come somewhere else. Thanks for running it again, Michael. Appreciate that. So I stand corrected, and that face mask went against Modesto. Their 4th penalty, and certainly hurting them there. Then they lose a yard with Lanto. There's James Parr. So Buffalo is trying to keep those defenders healthy, but 2 key ones right now not in. But it is 3rd and 16. Lloyd Ferris takes the handoff, bursts through. Ferris heading to the end zone, and he scores on 3rd and 16. Ferris from 30 yards out, and we are tied awaiting the Modesto point after try. So what a play there from Lloyd Ferris, who has scored all 3 Modesto touchdowns this season. Takes it 30 yards on a simple running play on 3rd and 16. And the Panther faithful that are here like that. 7:47 showing on the clock here in quarter 2. Kyle Miller will hold. Corey Torres on for the point after. It's like Abel Stanley on for the snap. And Torres gets it, so it is 7-6 Modesto. The Panthers have the lead for the first time tonight with 7:47 to go in the half. It was Lloyd Ferris on a 3rd and long. Didn't like what he saw on that side of the field. Broke a tackle there and takes it in from roughly 30 yards out. Last week, as I said, 142 for Ferris. Early on, it was Max Areola carrying the ball, and I wondered out loud when Ferris would start to run it. Well, he does there to perfection on the touchdown. Just a junior. He played varsity last year, mainly a receiver. Now a two-way guy, safety and a tailback for the Panthers, and no doubt one of their keys to success this season. And now he has the Panthers on top 7-6. Both these teams picked to win their respective leagues by the Modesto beat. Modesto, the Modesto Metro Conference. Manteca picked to win the VOL, also the record-picking Manteca to win the VOL as well. Turlock last week beating Oakdale 34-2. Surprise to many, not so much that Turlock won, but by the score. The CCC, in fact, last week going 5-1. The only loss was Pittman at Granite Bay, 40-39. That ball is live. Manteca's got to get there, and they do pick it up. It was Akaya, of course, the man who blocked the punt earlier for Manteca that led to their touchdown. And Akaya had to run up and scoop it up as that was a live ball. Line of scrimmage is the 30 for Manteca. After a 13-play drive for the Panthers, Manteca's offense finally gets back on the field. 6-minute drive for Modesto. 1st and 10 Manteca, they trail by a point. And Akaya is blown up in the backfield. Play made by James Williams. Williams, the nose guard, 2nd team All-District last year. had an ankle injury late in the season. In fact, he hurt it against Davis in the final regular season game and only played one play against St. Mary's in the first round of the playoffs. Loss of about 5, maybe 4. Second down and 14 upcoming as Camara brings himself to the huddle there, and you see Sedano getting the play from the wristband. Second and long, awaiting Manteca as we hit the 7-minute mark of the second quarter. Turner goes in motion, reverse. It's Barber running the other side. Williams there and Ferris, but Manteca runs the reverse. There is a flag. Barber maybe got around 9, but we'll have to wait and see. It's a hold on Manteca, and that's where the flag was thrown in the vicinity of what usually is holding. It's going to wipe out a nice play by the Buffaloes. Not expecting much chicanery from either squad. They're pretty much straight ahead power football teams. We did see Modesto, though, throw a halfback option for a touchdown last year against St. Mary's in the first round of the playoffs. There's the end of the run by Barber. Couldn't quite pick up the hold. Already missed a face mask, so it's been a struggle here early for myself as well. Clock shows 6:48. Brand new scoreboard here at Manteca High School. New field house, new scoreboard as well. Another flag flies, make it 2. And so the penalty's starting to add up here. False start against Manteca, their 3rd penalty. And a couple here in succession. And to pick up a first down, Manteca must get to the 41. Ball spotted back at the 16. So 2nd and 25 upcoming. 2nd and 25. Manteca heading in the wrong direction, trailing here 7-6. First home game of the year for the Buffaloes. Manteca's freshmen lost on Thursday night, just their 2nd loss in the last 3 years. So the younger program is very good at Modesto now. Under Rod Long, the head man who's turned this program around. Manteca runs on 2nd and long. It's Andre Patterson, not much doing. Joey Vendiola, the first man to get to Patterson, and he only got a yard or so. 3rd and 24 roughly. Let's see if Manteca goes to the air. Sedano out of the shotgun. We've seen him go to this formation a couple of times. 4 receivers, 2 to each side for Manteca. Sedano going down. Didn't have anybody open down the field. Estrada in the mix. James Williams there. Also Jeff Woodbridge for the Panthers. So the sack. Actually, Sedano may end up getting about a yard where he fell forward, so it may not officially be a sack, but nonetheless a punting situation. Nearing 5 minutes to play here in the half. Here comes Cox with the punt. It's short. We'll see what kind of a bounce it takes. A Manteca bounce. And goes down at the 44. 21-yard punt. No return. And so Modesto leading by a point. Now with possession as well, they have 2 timeouts remaining. And have the ball at the 44 of Manteca. So outstanding field position for them starting after they've had pretty poor field position all night long. Manteca 9-3 a year ago. Modesto 9-2. Here we are in week 2 of the 05 season. Lanto fires. That is picked off by Manteca. It is Turner, and he brings it across midfield to the 47. About 18 yards on the return, of course, Michael Turner. All area, all district, all VOL, all section. Last year had 7 picks as a junior. Gets one right there. And quickly, Manteca's in business. So it was almost like they punted and then got the field position of that punt after the pick by Turner. As Lanto overshot his intended receiver, and now Manteca starts on Modesto's side of the field at the 48 with 4:43 to play in the half. Manteca with 2 timeouts remaining. Jared Akaya, no opening. Miller and Williams making the stop. Maybe a half a yard, but it looks like 2nd and 10 upcoming. So James Williams, Mark Roberts, Levert Griffin, and Jeff Woodbridge, the linemen for Modesto, all returning on defense, as well as Dylan Miller. A very windy night here in Manteca. Last week, the defense held Buhack to 120 yards of offense, but lost because of those turnovers, 4, and the kick return for a touchdown late in the game. Nearing 4 minutes to play in the half. Toss to Akaya, tripped up in the backfield. It was Mike Ramirez who got a piece of Akaya. And so Manteca loses 2. 3rd and 12. So after the pick by Turner, Manteca has done nothing here on their first 2 offensive plays. Now they face 3rd and long from near midfield. Manteca winners of 12 of their last 15. The number 5 team in the state of California, Division III. Started the poll off at number 11, but moved up with that 40-0 win at series last week. 3rd and 12 for Manteca from about the 49 of Modesto. Panthers lead 7-6. Flag and whistles from the back judge, so I'm guessing delay a game. That is the call. And it'll make it 3rd and 17 for the Buffaloes. Each team now with 4 penalty flags. 3rd and 17 for Manteca, now back on their side of the field at the 46. Turner goes in motion. Sedano never gets the snap. Ball is down. Modesto has it. It was Dylan Miller who ends up with the ball, the linebacker. Sedano never got the snap. And so the Panther faithful like that. And so each team successive turnovers here. Modesto throws the pick. Manteca fumbles it back, and Modesto basically gets the ball in the same vicinity of where they had it before the pick. First down on Manteca's side of the field at the 47. Look out, we're moving forward. Modesto going to go in and out of the huddle here in a hurry after running there. After Ferris runs. On second down, Williams upended. Mills among those in on the play for Manteca. Also Brian Rollis, starting center, who plays some defense as well. And Williams right around nothing on that run for him. 3rd and I'd say 4 upcoming in the waning minutes of the first half. 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And moving. On 3rd and 4, Williams again, maybe just a yard. Manteca doing a nice job of plugging that line. John O'Brien there for the Buffaloes. Williams gets maybe a yard. Still pretty close to 4th and 4. Could even be 3. Say 3.5. At about the 41, 4th down and about 3.5 upcoming for the Panthers, and they take a timeout, leaves them with 1. 1:37 on the clock. 7-6. Modesto leading. No surprise here in a low-scoring affair. Both papers, Modesto being the record-picking Manteca to win, but by scores of 17-14 and 22-20, probably giving the Buffaloes the nod because they're here at home. So timeout for Modesto, facing a 4th down and preparing to at least attempt to go for it. I want to remind you that tonight's game is brought to you commercial-free exclusively by your high-speed internet and digital cable provider, Comcast. Games this week, Tokay already a loser. They played on Thursday night because of the Great Festival. Stagg and Tracy in a battle of the TCAL and the SJAA. St. Mary's at Chowchilla, a murderous opening schedule. At Jesuit last week. Next week they get Del Oro, who already beat Oak Ridge last week. West, a big win last weekend against Deer Valley. Lincoln will go to Elk Grove and take on Franklin, their former head coach Mike Johnson, Lodi and Galt, and you can see the others down the line. 4th down here for Modesto. They will go for it from about the 41, 4th and about 3.5. The backfield is full, and Lanto takes timeout, so maybe they were just trying to draw the Buffaloes offside. That is, in fact, the last timeout now for the Panthers. And we'll see, do they come back out and punt it? I would doubt that. They're at the 41 of Manteca and only 1:37 to play in the half. Might as well go for it. Teams from the CCC and now, of course, the Modesto Metro have never won on the Comcast SJTV Sports Game of the Week. Don't know if that matters at all, but 0-9 all time against other opponents. 0-6, in fact, against Lincoln, our teams from the CCC and MMC, and you can see Lincoln at 23-11. We've seen them a lot in the playoffs. Then Stagg with the victory, Tokay a victory, and St. Mary's all victories against teams from the CCC and the MMC. But a CCC/MMC team has never won on SJTV. 0-9. Eric Reese had never won on SJTV until last year when his Buffaloes beat Weston Ranch. That's, of course, as an assistant at Sierra, and then his first couple years as head coach at Manteca. He's 1-7 all time. 4th down, Estrada. First down for the Panthers, and he's on the move. Come on now. There's Estrada across the 20. And he gets about 22 yards there on 4th down. Estrada picks up 22 on 4th and about 3. .130, Modesto's out of timeouts. They're going to have to go in and out of the huddle in a hurry. Williams stood up by O'Brien and others. Gets up close to the 15. About 4 yards. So here are the Manteca Buffalo cheerleaders at the half. Modesto on top, 7-6. So those were the Manteca cheerleaders at the half. Here about set to start the second half. 7-6 Modesto on top. Let's go ahead and run down those halftime statistics. Each team with 5 possessions. Potpourri for Modesto, a touchdown, a punt, a block field goal, and an interception. Manteca did not score an offensive touchdown. They scored, of course, off that block punt. 5 possessions for the Buffaloes. They fumbled twice. Once was debatable whether it was turned over on downs or there was a fumble, but 2 fumbles, 2 punts, and then 1 play there at the end of the half. Total offense for Manteca just 51 yards. Haven't been able to get it going offensively. The fumbles I mentioned for the turnovers, the 1 turnover for Modesto, the interception that was thrown by Thomas Lanto. The fans liking it, though. Manteca trails by 1. Penalties 4 on each side. The touchdown coming for Modesto on the 30-yard run by Lloyd Ferris. That was on a 3rd and 16 at the 7:47 mark of the second quarter. And, of course, Manteca getting their touchdown off that blocked punt. It was blocked by Jared Akaya and then taken in by Paul Kamara with 1:52 to play in quarter 1 from 25 yards out. Manteca missed the point after, and that is the difference in this contest. And, of course, Manteca blocking a field goal of Modesto's late in the half to keep it to the 1-point game. Modesto will get it first to start half number 2, leading by 1, and it may be a game first 1 to 20 wins. Michael Turner hasn't gotten it going necessarily offensively, though. Manteca's tried to get the ball in his hands on the ground, throwing his way once for 1 reception, but certainly blocking that field goal, and also had a pick, had a big hit as well in this contest. So we have a couple of Pac-10 guys in this contest. Michael Turner going to U of A, and Levert Griffin from Modesto on his way to Cal, and kind of continues a trend. Of course, Willie Tuitama from St. Mary's last year, the standout quarterback, now at the University of Arizona. Lavelle Scholes from Brookside Christian is verbal to Arizona State. Another guy at Arizona, Chris Henry, of course, going to Edison, and he now plays for the University of Arizona as well. So the level of football appears to be rising in this area. Lewis Rankin from Lincoln, now at the University of Washington. Right now, currently, they're starting tailback. And then, of course, Lavelle Hawkins at Cal. Other guys in the area, Nathan Costa from Hillmar, their quarterback, has verbal to the University of Oregon. And Walter Watts, the lineman from Los Banos, is verbal to UCLA, though he broke his leg last week in the opening win against Tracy. 7-6 as we're about set to go here in the second half. Manteca 1-0, Modesto 0-1, each team coming off a 9-win season a year ago. Evan Herrera booted for Manteca. And it's an up man, Eddie Pasali, just shy of the 20. Pasali, a good return to the 40. Kamara brings him down. He's been all over on special teams, but Modesto started much of the early part of the game with poor field position, but at the end of the half they had good field position, and they start the second half with good field position as well. At the 40, Panthers by a point. I mentioned last year scoring 17 points per game. Their high was 29, but 6 occasions they won, I said earlier, was 16 points or less. It was actually 19 points or less, so they can win the low-scoring tight affairs. Lloyd Ferris, who has the only touchdown for Modesto, spins around, but spins into maybe a loss of a yard. Looked like Turner was there to touch him down. Also, Seth Davis for Manteca, their strong safety. So Ferris loses a yard. Now 5 carries for 31, and Ferris has scored all the touchdowns this year for Modesto. They have 3, 2 last week against Buhack, 1 here tonight. He has been their offense in the early going. 2nd and probably 11. It's Estrada. Mills brings him down for Manteca. Also Daniel Johnson. And Estrada gets about 4. 3rd and 7 upcoming. Of course, Estrada had that big run late in the half that set up the field goal, which of course was blocked, so it went for naught. 3rd and 7. Here, first possession of the second half. Fake to the first man. Ferris is the second, and he goes down. The first man to get a piece of him was Vincent Bordy, but also there for Manteca was Alex Paul. So Manteca defensively has been true to the task. In fact, Both defenses have been outstanding. That's no surprise. On that run, Ferris is going to lose about 4. There has not been much running room save for that one play by Ferris. Appropriate. 30-yard touchdown run. That's really the only big play for Modesto in this game. The only big play for Manteca is the punt block for the score. Very poor punt. It will be returned by Andre Patterson just shy of the 20. So Fisher a short punt. Yeah, 13 yards, and Patterson gets a shy return, or a very short return, I should say, but Manteca is almost at midfield, just shy of it. I was a little bit ahead of myself. At the 49, their own, but nonetheless outstanding field position, trailing by a point. Manteca, their next 2 on the road, at Edison, then at Buhack. Colony mentioned the big one in conference here against Oakdale on homecoming, the 21st of October. Manteca, the last team to beat Oakdale in league. Mustangs 3-time defending champion in the VOL, 23 straight victories. 1st and 10 Manteca, and the tight end Paul moves forward. False start on Manteca, their 5th flag. Paul and Sedano battled through camp to play quarterback, and Paul going to play tight end for the Buffaloes and also defensive end, still not completely healthy. Of course, Sedano trying to replace, and not many people can replace Sam Miller, the man last year. 1,370 yards, 18 touchdowns, and just 4 picks. And was that James Parr? We'll have to try and get confirmation. The underneath handoff to Michael Turner. Hurdles over the defensive line, but then he's drilled by his opposite number, Lloyd Ferris. Probably the 2 best offensive / overall players on the field, and Ferris and Turner. Turner got a nice run out of that, but then he paid for it. Got 6 on his 2nd carry. Underneath handoff that time to Michael Turner. And look at number 2, Lloyd Ferris, come into your picture and deliver the boom. We saw Turner with the big hit earlier. That time he receives it. Turner now 2 carries on the night for 9 yards. He does have 1 reception. It is 2nd down, 2nd and 4. 2nd and 4. Upcoming for Manteca. Sedano drops it off to Turner. He's in space, goes up the field. 1st down, and he's bumped out by Ferris and also Fernando Sanchez. Turner gets to the 34. Close to 10 on that reception. 2nd one for Michael Turner, 2nd reception that is. It's a dislocated shoulder, but is it James Parr on the sideline? We haven't gotten confirmation on that. Out of the eye, Akaya, the deep back, takes it, and he's hit pretty hard as well. Akaya a little slow to get up. Now head to the sideline. And he's holding his shoulder. Timeout here taken by Modesto. And then you see Eric Rees, the head coach for Manteca. While we have a moment, let's go ahead and thank our friends over at Eric's New York Style Pizza. They're located at 4118 North El Dorado Street in Stockton. Phone number is 463-6339, 463-6339. So now Jared Akaya is down. Buffaloes have already lost 1 player to dislocated shoulder. Haven't gotten the confirmation yet on who it is. We did though see James Parr go down earlier, and looking for a number 9 on the sideline. And don't see it. Of course, want to be sure on an injury. Eric Alves with you on the Comcast SJTV Sports Game in the League, along with Kenny McCann, Andres Morado, Sean Schrock, Maurice Patterson, Nicole Ferran, Demetrius Nair, and Michael January. Next week in Linden for Western Ranch and Linden. Off the Modesto timeout, looks like Akaya may return. Easy for me to say. And Sedano in the shotgun. He's back there somewhere. Grabbed it with the right hand. He rolls right. Throws. Completion for the Buffaloes. And it's Michael Barber, his second catch of the contest. Inside the 10 at about the 8, right around a 20-yard hookup on the second reception for Michael Barber. Now 2 for 36. Manteca inside the 10. It's first and goal, trailing by a point at 7-6. 3 minutes and change into the second half. This is after the short punt by Modesto. Patterson is the deep back as Sedano goes under center. Patterson will take the toss. Looks to go left, cuts it inside, and he scores from 8 yards out. Andre Patterson, his 4th touchdown of the season, his first here tonight, and Manteca is back on top. That's the thing about depth. Akaya gets hurt, Manteca goes to Patterson, they don't miss a beat. 8:30 to play, and do the Buffaloes go for 2 here? With the score 12-7. They will go for 2 and try to get up to 14. One receiver to each side. Patterson again, he'll try the right side, dives in, he's there, 14-7, as Andre Patterson gets 8 points. And a huge drive there for the Buffaloes. And they move the ball down the field, passing, 1 to Turner, 1 to Barber. That was the big one to get it inside the 10, and Andre Patterson finishes it off, an 8-yard touchdown run. Right there, and then the 2-point conversion as well. 14-7 Manteca. Patterson transferred from Newark Memorial, but did live in Manteca, moved away, and Buffaloes are sure glad he has returned. Had 2 rushing touchdowns last week, 81 yards in total. There's the 2-pointer. Also a fumble recovery for a score, and he gets his first score here tonight. Patterson had a big 20-yard run in the first half, 3 carries for 24. The touchdown his 4th, so now he's up to 32. The best ground gainer for the Buffaloes, and we'll probably see a steady diet of him here in the second half, especially as you wonder the health of Akaya. Evan Herrera to kick it deep for Manteca. The last one was short, returned by Eddie Pasali. This will bounce to about the 12. It's Patrick Semino to the 36. And Manteca last week just 2 of 6 through the air. Ruben Sedano was 2 of 4. Tonight, 4 of 5 hit on both in that touchdown scoring drive. A 4-play drive for Manteca, went 51 yards. A minute 35. First and 10 Panthers as they trail now by 7. Early on it was 6-0 Manteca off the block. Punt for a score. Manteca did not get the point after. Then the 30-yard run for Lloyd Ferris and Modesto. The point after was good. 7-6 Modesto. Late in the half, Modesto had a field goal block. We went to the break at 7-6. And then Manteca here scoring early in the second half. And a timeout taken by Modesto there. Wow. Before they take the first snap of that series, and it leaves the Panthers with 1 for the rest of the half. So that could become a key factor down the stretch on what we expect to be a very close game. There is the back of the head of Coach Reese as he walks away from us. As I mentioned, had the monkey on his back until getting the win against West Ranch last year, at least on TV, but certainly 21-11, 2 ties in his 4th year, an alum. He won 2 titles playing under Bob Lee here at Manteca High School. His assistant head coach is Jack Miller, 20 years here at Manteca, and Jack Miller has coached under Walker Vick, the athletic director, longtime athletic director, whom the field house is named for, that we showed earlier. Mick Founts, Bob Lee, and then Joe Miller, who's actually in the press box here, the head coach, of course, before Eric Reese, who led the Buffaloes to 2 section title games and a championship in 01, the 12-0-1 team. whom we saw defeat Del Oro 21-0. Play action by Lanto. Throwing down the field. Does Turner come away with it? Michael Turner, his second pick. Of course, he's down. You don't have to be touched when you hit the ground, but a pick there by Michael Turner, his second. Certainly one of the best defenders in the area. Not much debate among the top 2 or 3 corners, but among the best defenders as well overall. His second interception on a deep ball that Lanto threw into double coverage, his second pick. He threw 3 last week. He had plenty of time. And you see both Davis and Turner there. Again, the athleticism shown by Michael Turner. So quickly Manteca gets the ball back. At about the 34, their own. 8:15 to go in the third. Manteca leads by 7, and here comes Andre Patterson. Bowled over. Ferris over there, he's a little hobbled. Dylan Miller, also Charlie Reese. Patterson gets 6 on that play. Maybe even 7. 7 for Patterson, so sets up his second and short. And Patterson now 5 carries for 39. And he seems to be the hot hand, the 5'7", 150 junior. Of course, Manteca has a very good sophomore running back on the JV team, Johnny Golden, as well. Had 4 scores last week. Here's Patterson again. That's a first down. He punishes the defender, but there's a late flag that comes in, and that's probably going to be on Manteca. We shall see. And it's a hold against Manteca, so wipe out that first down. 6th penalty against Manteca. I mentioned Johnny Golden because his older brother is Fred/Otis Amy, of course, the new special team star for the 49ers. So Manteca would have been in business up at the 45, but instead the hold brings Manteca back to the 39, and it'll be 2nd and about 4 from there. So spotted the foul infraction. .7:30 and moving on the clock here in the third quarter. Manteca from the 39. Sedano gets the play from the wristband. Line sets. Turner goes in motion, takes the toss. And Michael Turner driven back. Estrada, Reese, and Vendiola all there for Modesto. Remember, this is a defense that only yielded 120 yards of total offense last week against Buhack Colony, and a year ago only gave up 10 points per game. Although that's without the playoff game in there when St. Mary's scored 49, so that average bumps it up to 14. So they're outstanding through the regular season, and certainly St. Mary's hung the 49 on them. 3rd down and probably 5 as Turner lost a yard. On the bootleg, Sedano. Defense closes on him. It was Sanchez and also Ramirez there. Mike Ramirez and Fernando Sanchez. It looked like Sedano had some open room initially off the snap and the fake, but then it closed up in a hurry. Got maybe a yard. 4th down and about 3. Manteca going to at least line up to punt it away with the line of scrimmage their own 42. Here's Justin Cox. And he shanks it. It goes out right at the 40. An 18-yard punt. And so Manteca appeared to have the momentum, and that holding call really hurt them. They would have the ball on the 45 of Modesto, 1st and 10. Were marched back at about their own 42, where they had it 2nd and 4. And, of course, we see the end result, the punt. And so the ball at the 40. For Modesto, their own, 5:57 showing on the clock. Still anybody's game. The Buffaloes leading here by 7. They were down a point at the half, but a touchdown by Andre Patterson. And he also picked up the 2-point conversion. For Modesto and Manteca, 2 of the best teams in the area, number 1 and number 5. Manteca and Modesto respectively, according to the Modesto B poll. Manteca, the number 5 team in the state of California, Division 3. Ball's whistled for play. Areola takes the toss on the sweep, and Manteca runs sideline to sideline quite well there. O'Brien and Johnson, the inside backers, all over the place. Areola gets about 3. Max Areola, his 5th carry. He carried the other 4 times very early in the contest. 2nd and 7 upcoming. From about the 43 here at Gushmeat Field at Manteca High School. Last week Stockton, this week Manteca, then Linden and Tracy the next 2 weeks for our game of the week. This one never gets started for Modesto. And it is false start against the Panthers. Their 5th flag, and we'll march them back. There's Rick James, defensive coordinator for Manteca. Went to Delta with head coach Eric Reese. Eric Reese also had Delta when Trent Marzon, the Oakdale head coach, was there, and Gary Barlow, of course, now the head coach for Delta College. They were all coached by Jack Jordan. 2nd and about 13. Fisher, the fullback, gets the lost yardage back on the penalty, but it's 3rd and 8. 3rd and 8. Under 5 minutes to play in the 3rd. Manteca by 7. Modesto with possession at their own 42. Full house in the backfield. Ferris stopped at the end of the play by Davis. Gets maybe 7. It'll be just a yard short for the Panthers. 7th carry for Ferris now for 34 yards. And so it's 4th and a yard with the ball at the 49. And Modesto, down 7, is lining up to punt. We'll see if they indeed punt this one away. And it's certainly in a enticing area near midfield. Buffalo's going to have to keep their eyes on the Panthers here. And timeout taken by Modesto. They're out of timeouts. The Panthers take all 3 timeouts here in the 3rd. In fact, with almost 4 minutes to play in the 3rd, and maybe they're rethinking going for it here, though it's still early in the 2nd half. But that could handcuff the Panthers the rest of this game without a timeout left. So no timeouts on the board for Modesto. They trail by 7 and are facing a 4th and 1. Manteca with the new kind of Buffalo Bill looking Buffalo on the side of their helmets. As the players along the sideline look on, certainly Manteca has put together a nice stretch. The 2001 team winning the section championship, the 02 team going to the section final, losing in a controversial game to Colfax, then back down to 5-5 in 2003, but last year back up at 9-3. Here in non-conference, the Modesto Metro Conference, Modesto Division 1 against Division 3 Manteca out of the Valley Oak League. Last year a 19-13 win, and Modesto will go for it. James Williams, that second effort, and the whole question is where is the spot, and where the officials are coming in, it's not enough. Williams moved the ball forward, but the officials are saying that's after he was down. And honestly, we don't even need a measurement where the spot is. And so Modesto called the timeout, went for it on 4th and 1. They needed to get to midfield, and the ball is not touching the midfield line, so on downs, Manteca stops Modesto. James Williams, the short yardage specialist, doesn't get it. Had that second effort, though. The officials didn't spot him off that second effort. We'll see if we can take a look at that in just a second. But Manteca with the stop near midfield. Modesto also out of timeouts here as Manteca takes over on Modesto's side of the field, up by 7. 3:44 to play in the 3rd. I formation. Andre Patterson, the ball carrier. Not much running room. There is a flag. Mark Roberts in on the stop. And the flag against the Buffaloes, blocking below the waist. And there is the play by Williams, and it's sure hard to tell. I mean, he's stretching, and his knee either is down or it's not. If it's not, it's a first down. If it is, it wasn't. And that's what the officials called, and there's a massive humanity in there. You just kind of look. I mean, he's kind of on top of a defender, so you just truly wonder when the knee went down. The officials saw it short. And that's how the call stands. It's a tough one to call, no question. I mean, look in there. Do you see a knee down? I mean, is it down there? It might be. And then you see Williams. Maybe the stretch was late, and that's what the official said. So the penalty brings Manteca way back to their 36. First down and 25. Sedano looking for Turner. There's some contact. Ferris in the area, also Sanchez, and it falls incomplete. Just the second incompletion by Sedano. He gave it all he had there looking for Michael Turner. The coverage was good with Sanchez and then the safety Ferris. As we take a look again, you see Sanchez right there, and then Ferris, the safety, came in and delivered a hit. It looked like Turner might have had his hands on it for a moment. So second down and about 24, maybe even 25, awaiting the Buffaloes after the illegal block. And he could stop Modesto on downs, but we'll see if they can do anything with it. A lot of yardage to make up. Sedano maybe setting up a screen, drops it off to Patterson, and only white jerseys in the area. One of them is Dylan Miller, who brings him down, maybe a 1-yard gain. Dylan Miller. Last year's leading tackler was Rashad Franklin. He's graduated, so Miller may be going to be the man to lead Modesto in tackles this season. He was second a year ago. 5 for 7 through the air for Manteca, but it's 3rd and 24. And Modesto, if they can get a stop here, we'll see what kind of field position they can get. Shouldn't be too bad. The punting has lacked a little bit on each side tonight. Late in the third. Sedano looking for Barber. Dives but can't get to it. Maybe a step more and would have been there. Michael Barber, a couple of grabs tonight. He had gotten beyond the secondary. That would have been a play of about 45 yards, but maybe a step too long. Sean Schrock all over that. Barber stretching out at the end. Manteca would have had great field position and would have picked up the 3rd and 24. But instead they will punt, almost blocked, and then takes a Manteca bounce. And Seth Davis will down it, so Manteca gets away the punt and the nice bounce. Down to the 24. A 34-yard punt, the best of the night by Cox, and it comes certainly at a good time for the Buffaloes. So next week we have Linden and Weston Ranch, little VOL-MLL. Weston Ranch, their first year with seniors, and Tracy in West. The following week, of course, all these games subject to change. Manteca was down 7-6 at the half. They have the only points of the second half. A touchdown run of 8 yards by Andre Patterson, and he got the 2-point conversion. That's where we stand here, 14-7, final 2 minutes of the third. On the draw, Manteca reads it. It's Bordy and also O'Brien stopping Ferris for a loss. A loss maybe of 6. Back at the 18. Bordy's played pretty well from his defensive tackle position. He had 2 sacks last week. And so it's 2nd and 16. Ferris 8 carries, but just 28 yards. Last week he went for over 140. 2 outstanding defenses on display here tonight. We've only had 2 offensive touchdowns. Lanto keeps, and that's James Parra. So Parra, the man that we had erroneously stated was injured earlier. He's in there, and he stops Lanto after a yard, maybe 2. Never did get confirmation on who the dislocated shoulder was, so I greatly apologize for that. Lanto passes tipped, intended for a Pasali, and so it falls incomplete, and quickly 3 and out for the Panthers. And so Manteca should now have good field position. Michael Turner going back to return this one, and we'll see if the punt ends up anywhere near him. So pass was deflected. Seth Davis, the safety, also in the area, had Pasali held on to it. That's only the second pass attempt of the second half by Modesto. The first was picked, so Turner takes the line drive at the 49. Gets a big block from Daniel Johnson, goes over a Modesto Panther and returns it to the 35, about a 14-yard return. Here in the final minute of the third.
There is a flag on the play, and the indication is illegal use of the hands against the Buffalo.
There's a flag down. It goes against Manteca. I did not see it. Once again, the pull at the 50 getting in the way every once in a while. Here's the call, though, from Tracy Blackmore. Block in the back against Manteca, which you often see on a punt. Maybe it was out on that great block. Let's see. Turner twice, I should say, has hurdled defenders tonight. We used to see Lavelle Hawkins do that. He was a little low that time. We saw Hawkins go over somebody almost standing straight up. Manteca still with pretty good field position. They end up losing about 10 yards because of that penalty. At the 46. Up by 7. The way this game's going, if Manteca can go up by 2 scores, they'd be in pretty good shape. Out of the shotgun, the backs are to the side of Sedano. Bobbles it now. Corrals in the flats. It's Turner. Tried the inside, goes to the outside. Still in bounds, it looks like, across the field. A helmet coming off. And Turner inside the 30 to about the 27. Maybe the 28. Looks like an 18-yard reception for Michael Turner. And it was his headwear, appears, that came off. 3 grabs for 33 for Turner. Five of 8 is Ruben Sedano through the air. Andre Patterson takes the toss. Then is held up, but not before a pretty good gain. Patterson close to the 20. 7-yard gain. Should say Ruben Sedano actually 6 of 9, I beg your pardon. And we head to the 4th. Manteca up 14-7, but they're in business near the 20 of Modesto. Andre Patterson has been a factor here in the second half. Now 7 carries for Patterson for 59 yards. It is 14-7. Manteca on top of Modesto. 12 minutes to decide this one on a windy night in Manteca, week 2 of the high school football season. Two teams in the preseason, at least, and certainly we'll see how it plays out, expected to be very, very good. People, in fact, are talking about Manteca making a run to the Division III section championship game again this year. Of course, in 01, they won a Division II section championship. In 02, they lost in the D3 final. Of course, really just Sacramento area schools in Division II. And then last year, Manteca beat 10-0 Colfax, kind of paying them back for that section championship loss back in 2002. They beat them by 1, 18-17 at Colfax, and lost by 1 against Rio Linda And the Buffaloes went for the win. Lost 27-26 though, and Manteca has been in a section final 5 times as a school, 75, 78, 93. Those were all losses. They beat Del Oro in 01 and then, of course, 02, losing to Colfax. 2nd and 3 for Manteca as we go into the 4th quarter here on the Comcast SJTV Sports High School Football Game of the Week. Two receivers to the left for the Buffaloes. Alex Paul now will go as the tight end on the left side. From the 21, Patterson, driven sideways. Levert Griffin in there, also Joey Estrada. Estrada, Vendiola, Miller, and Ramirez, the linebackers for Modesto, have been all over the place. 3rd down. And to a 7-point game right now at 21-13. Fisher takes it in, and Modesto scored in less than 2 minutes. Of course, the bizarre kickoff part of it, the unsportsmanlike penalty as well against Manteca aided the Panther cause. But they get it done. Now their defense will have to go to work. The tee late arriving for Miller, the holder. He gets it, and now Torres on for the important point after. 21-13. Manteca looks like they got a piece of it maybe. Flag is thrown. Let's see. And attempting to block the kick, did Manteca maybe get a piece of the kicker? No. It's procedure against Modesto, so they're going to have to re-kick this one. An injured Buffalo. Thomas Verduzco, the nose guard. So Manteca's been banged up a little bit in this game, but other guys have stepped up. We saw Akaya get knocked out for the Buffaloes, and then Andre Patterson really step in, although that's often the case. And now we see James Parra's shoulder wrap. So we heard the dislocation, thought it was Parra, and then he came back in, so we second-guessed ourselves. So I guess he came back in to play through the injury, and now looks like he's out with that right arm wrapped. Timeout taken by Manteca. They didn't have the lineup structured the way they wanted to, so Manteca burns one there. Remember, Modesto is out of timeouts. The extra point, though, going to be a little more difficult here for Corey Torres. After the penalty, he made his first. Of course, has had a field goal blocked. They're the Modesto cheerleaders in the end zone after, of course, Modesto scored, and they're hoping for an extra point as well to be successful. Still a long way to go in this contest. 6:30 of game time, but it could be an eternity in real time. Manteca and Modesto. Of course, Modesto used to play Sierra High when Eric Reese was an assistant there, so knows all about the Panthers, and he and Rod Long both went to Cal Poly, just missed each other. Dan Evanson, though, an assistant for Manteca, was at Cal Poly the same time as Rod Long. So, Torres for the extra point, which is going to be now a 25-yard extra point. In a 21-13 Manteca lead. The kick is no good. So a huge penalty. It's an 8-point difference instead of 7. So even if Modesto gets to stop against Manteca, they would have to score and get the 2-point conversion just to tie. There's our good friend, the pole here at Gus Schmidt Field. It's not exactly on the 50. It's like on the 48. And we'll see how this one gets decided. Two seemingly area powers, but Modesto could be staring 0-2 in the face. Of course, it's non-league, and the conference is what gets you into playoffs, but nonetheless, it would be certainly shocking for Modesto to start the season off 0-2. Eric Reese talked about his team having to weather the storm early because of the great defense of Modesto. They did. In fact, Manteca led early on because of the special teams touchdown off the block punt. And how big does that loom now? Manteca leading by 8 points. And, of course, they got 6 of their 21 on the block punt that was returned for a touchdown by Paul Camara. Manteca has to be careful here. Maybe Modesto sneak one on a squibber. Patterson and Barber are back deep. We'll see if the ball gets to him. Torres does squib it up the middle. Manteca fields it cleanly to make sure they hold on to the ball, and it's returned by Donald Jeffrey. And so the name of the game for Manteca here is going to be ball control. Certainly you don't want to get too conservative and just go 3 and out, but at the same time, you're up by 8, are the Buffaloes. As Eric Reese looks on, of course, an alum here of Manteca High. One of the few area head coaches who are alums. Tom Bernard Franklin is, Tony Franks at St. Mary's, Mike James at East Union, and Mark Stroop at Tracy, along with Coach Reese. But that is it. 6:24 to go in the game. Manteca starts out with the ball around the 37. Patterson kind of bumped into the quarterback, Sedano, there. Taken down quickly by Woodbridge. Patterson has had a big second half with 2 touchdowns. Or check that, was that Dominic Bennett? I beg your pardon, I saw the 8. Thought there was a 2 in front, but it's actually Bennett. His second carry, the Weston Ranch transfer, Dominic Bennett, last week had 68 yards. And so he gets a yard. 2nd and 9, under 6 minutes to go. Of course, a 25-second play clock. So Manteca can be chewing up 30 seconds or so of play, but Manteca, the key for them is at least 1 first down. Modesto, the key for them is a stop. Is that ball loose? It was. Manteca ends up with it. Is it Sedano there at the bottom of that pile? Would have been a huge turn of events there for Modesto. Still is, as Manteca loses 2, maybe 3. It's going to be 3rd and about 10, maybe even a little more. And Patterson goes back into the game, but we'll see if Manteca elects to run here or go through the air. Of course, an incompletion stops the clock, but with 5 minutes to go, there's still plenty of time. As we now hit 5 minutes to go, Manteca leading 21-13. 3rd down, a flag is thrown. Is it delay a game? It is. And so it goes from 3rd and about 10 to 3rd and 15. Manteca, 11 penalties. And Modesto with the stop here will get the ball right back. Trailing by 8. New personnel coming onto the field for Manteca. There's Tracy Blackmore. He's had a busy night. We've seen 18 penalties tonight. Last week, 21 here in week 2 of the Comcast SJTV Sports High School Football Game of the Week. Don't forget, this game can be seen on demand starting next Monday. 3rd and long. Manteca's just going to run with it. Patterson, not much. Tackler there is Reggie Mason. Brings up 4th down. Clock moving at 4 minutes and 38 seconds.
13 yards to go.
So it's up to Cox here to come away with another good punt. He had a nice one last time. Manteca with the protection to make sure they don't get this one blocked. Cox does indeed get it away. High kick. We'll see what kind of a bounce it takes. And a little bit of a Manteca roll. And down to the 35. A 30-yard punt there by Cox. No return. And so the situation is this. 21-13. Manteca in the lead. 4:06 to play. Modesto with possession at their own 35. They're out of timeouts. They must score and get the conversion. There's Dominic Bennett. Busy night for the Manteca trainer. Modesto scoring, of course, on their last possession, but the extra point was no good. So they are down by 8. Lloyd Ferris taking it on 1st down. Bounces off 1 hit, but not the second. Daniel Johnson, Seth Davis, all there for the Buffaloes. Also Nick Trout, as Ferris is slow to get up. Not a lot of offense in this game. Andre Patterson, 2 touchdowns in the second half, leading Manteca. Manteca also scoring on a special teams touchdown. Ferris and Fisher, the scores for Modesto. No surprise, though, here, 21-13 Manteca. No surprise in a low-scoring, tight affair. 2nd and 7, a short 7, awaiting Modesto. They go to the shotgun, but the time is a factor now. 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Lanto maybe setting up a screen. He does, and a flag comes in. Maybe a late hit by Manteca. That's the vicinity where the flag was thrown. Also another for possibly pass interference. Looked like Manteca might have tackled the intended receiver. We'll see there is a whole mass of humanity there where the screen pass was being thrown. So Tracy Blackmore talking with the rest of his crew. Of course, everything huge here. Roughing the passer against Manteca. And so maybe one of the flags waved off. Yeah, the second one, Tracy Blackmore just waved that. One was waved off, but certainly the roughing the passer, the flag thrown by the referee Blackmore. The 12th against Manteca. And that penalty puts the ball beyond midfield up to the 46. So Modesto has it there. Timeout by the officials. Tracy Blackmore going to explain this one to Eric Reese, the call. Eric Reese getting the explanation from Tracy Blackmore. Obviously doesn't like it because it's a 15-yard penalty, but seemed at least somewhat satisfied with the explanation. Clock shows 3:15 to play. Play action, Lanto. Over the head of Fisher. Nearly intercepted, but ruled incomplete. Was it Turner in the vicinity or Camara? Both were around the ball. I couldn't tell who dove for it, but those two have been all over the field and had a lot to say about this game. After the incompletion, clock to 3:07. 2nd and 10 awaiting the Panthers. Second and 10, line of scrimmage is the 46. Here in a battle of the MMC and the VOL. It's only week 2, but it feels big here. Fisher on the move. That's close to a Modesto first down. Blake Fisher, who scored the last touchdown. You see Modesto moving with some haste here as they're out of timeouts. And actually, he's short. I prematurely gave him the first down. We'll see now. Maybe another measurement. That stops the clock momentarily. So that this potential measurement, the ally of Modesto, and actually Mark Roberts is down. That's why the official stopped the clock. So 3rd and 1 is put up. I had given Fisher the first down. There's Roberts. Actually, his shoe came out. Certainly helping Modesto out. And they need to be ready. The Panthers need to be huddling. They're looking at Roberts right now. They need to have this play called and then get to the line here on 3rd and 1. 3rd and 1. Manteca leading by 8. Modesto driving, though, looking for the tie. Clock moving now, 2 minutes and 32 seconds. Williams, the fullback, gets the first down. So that will move the chains. As soon as they're reset, the clock will move again. Modesto up to the 35. And it looks like an official's timeout. Now Williams, a little shaken up. Clock stopped. And now it's wound again. So Modesto, maybe a little gamesmanship without the timeouts. Clock moving to 17, or not. Certainly, you never know the intent. On the move, it's Nasher. looked like he had a chance to make it a good game, but it gets closed off in a hurry, that hole. Alex Paul and also Seth Davis. So now we get to 2 minutes. Clock moving. 150, the chance of defense here on second down and about 7. 2nd and 7 for Modesto. The look to throw. Incomplete. Estrada, the intended receiver. Alex Paul in coverage. Estrada's had a couple of big plays tonight, but it was not to be there. And now it is 3rd and 7. Of course, Modesto would have to go for it in a 4th down situation here, so they have 2 more plays to pick up 7 yards in essence. The Manteca players looking for more from the crowd. Not many empty seats here at Gushemeat Field. On the home side, a few here and there. 3rd and 7 for Modesto, just shy of the 30 of Manteca, trailing by 8. Pasali takes it in. Still moving down to the 10. That's a Modesto first down. Seth Davis with the touchdown saving tackle. Of course, in non-league, there is not OT. So Modesto looking for the tie here, down by 8. And actually, Modesto doesn't have to hurry too much. They're to the 10 and actually just inside it, so the chains are down. So it's 1st and goal. Modesto, of course, needs the touchdown and the 2-point conversion to tie here a few minutes before 10 o'clock. On the 16th of September. Over the middle, that's incomplete. Intended receiver Curtis McCarty. And that brings up now 2nd down. A drive that started at the 35 of Modesto. Of course, the late hit, key in this drive. It's now 2nd and goal. Second and goal with 1:14 to play in the game. 21-13 Manteca. Modesto in the white and black uniforms, poised maybe to pull out a tie here when they were down 21-7 in this contest. With just over 8 minutes to go, can they come from behind? Lanto to McCarty behind him. He holds on to it, but he's brought down in the field of play and spotted about the 4, so close to a 6-yard pickup. But of course, because he was brought down after the catch, there's under a minute now. Less than a minute to go. Modesto will huddle. They do have some time, but down to 45 seconds here. 3rd and goal for the Panthers. They need the score and the 2-point conversion. Do they run it in? Ferris is close. No signal. He's to the 1. Down to 30 seconds. And so it's 4th and goal. And this is it. Down to 24. Clock moving. The officials take a timeout here. I don't know why. They're respotting the ball. Down to 22 seconds. Now Modesto is huddling up. And the clock's now whistled in 20 seconds. This is 4th and goal. It doesn't matter. It comes down to this play. Modesto must score here or the game's over. They bump into each other. Are they in? No! Signal. They're not in. It's over. 9 seconds, 8.9 in fact showing on the clock. And it looked like the quarterback Lanto and Williams kind of barged into one another on 4th and goal from the 1. And we'll watch it again. And that was the case. Williams and Lanto bumped into each other. Lanto fell down. Manteca still has to take the snap here, but honestly, they could even give up the safety. Looks like Manteca's going to take a timeout to make sure they can go with the center exchange. But they're up 8, feeling pretty good after that defensive stand. Manteca with the defensive stand. Modesto down by 14 with 8 minutes to go. Got to the doorstep, but then Williams and Lanto bumped into one another. Williams certainly the money man in short yardage situations, and has been tonight, but there, just an unlucky draw for the Panthers as he bumped into Lanto. So Manteca needs to get a little bit of a forward push here, but really they just have to make sure they snap it. Even a safety isn't horrendous. Sedano takes it. No safety is signal. That means he went forward. Modesto is out of timeout. And now it is officially over. What a game there at the end. Manteca with the goal line stand. 4th and goal from the 1. Certainly the misstep of Williams and Lanto aiding the Buffalo cause. And now you wonder, can Modesto rebound from an 0-2 start? You would think, because they are a very good team. But there's no way in the world they thought they'd be 0-2 after 2 games. And Manteca improves to 2-0. They beat the co-champions of the MMC a year ago in their first 2 weeks, 40-0 against Ceres, and here 21-13 against Modesto in what was exactly what we thought would happen, a close, low-scoring game. Manteca, don't forget, they had that special teams touchdown early on, and then 2 rushing touchdowns by Andre Patterson in the second half. Modesto certainly valiant in defeat, but in the end, the Buffaloes 21-13. They are now 2-0, and Manteca has won 13 of their last 16 games. And Modesto, last year, after a 9-1 start, they have now lost their last 3 games. Last year in the playoffs against St. Mary's, and their first 2 this year against Buhat Colony, and of course Manteca here tonight. Wasn't a thing of beauty by any stretch of the imagination, but quite a high school football game. Very good defenses on each side. In the end, Manteca had just a little more, and we'll see how far that carries the Buffaloes this year. They still have that October 21st game looming here on homecoming against Oakdale. So Manteca wins. They are 2-0. Modesto goes down. They are shockingly 0-2. Next week, we're on to Linden for Linden and Weston Ranch, and tonight there is much joy in Manteca. For our entire Comcast SJTV crew, I'm Eric Alves. We're only through 2 weeks. We've had 2 8-point games now, 21-13, identical scores, Lincoln and Fairfield, and here Manteca and Modesto. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next week from Lions Stadium. Have a good night.